Now, let's begin with the question, what is chemical bonding? Chemical bonding is when atoms join together to form molecules or compounds. It happens when atoms share or transfer electrons. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, chemical bonding is the process that joins atoms together to make stable substances. It can happen by sharing or transferring electrons, forming either ionic or covalent bonds. Chemical bonding has two main types, which are ionic bonding and covalent bonding. Now that we know what chemical bonding is, let's move on to understand why atoms form bonds. The next part will be discussed by Ashley.
Atoms bond because they are unstable when alone and need to combine with other atoms to become stable. They bond to achieve a full outer shell of electrons, just like noble gases. Bonding helps atoms lower their energy and stay balanced. Atoms bond because they are not stable on their own. They want to have a full outer shell of electrons, which makes them more stable, just like noble gases. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, atoms form bond to lower their energy and become more balanced. That's why bonding naturally happens.
Ionic bonding. Ionic bonding occurs when one atom gives electrons and another receives them. These form positive and negative ions that attract each other. It usually happens between metals and nonmetals, where electrons are transferred from one atom to another. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, ionic bonding happens when one atom gives electrons to another atom. Because of this, one becomes positive and the other becomes negative, and they attract each other. This type of bond usually happens between metals and nonmetals. This picture shows how ions are formed. When an atom loses electrons, it becomes positively charged, called a cation. When an atom gains electrons, it becomes negatively charged, called an ion. To understand this better, let's see an example of an ionic bond that will be discussed by Mr. Johnson.
Ionic bonding. Example, sodium Na gives 1 electrons to chlorine. Ci they form NaCl solved through attractions between positive and negative ions. Sodium gives its electrons to chlorine. Sodium becomes positive and chlorine becomes negative. They attract each other and form table salt or NaCl. This picture shows how sodium gives its 1 electron to chlorine. When sodium loses an electron, it becomes a positive ion, and chlorine becomes a negative ion after gaining it because of their opposite changes. They attract each other and form an ionic bond, creating sodium chloride or table salt. Now that we understand ionic bonding, let's move on to the second type of chemical bond, the covalent bonds. This will be explained by Marian.
Now, let's talk about covalent bonding. Covalent bonding happens when two atoms share electrons. This type of bond usually occurs between nonmetals to become stable. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, covalent bonding is a type of chemical bond where two atoms share one or more pairs of electrons. This sharing allows both atoms to fill their outer shell and become stable. To see how this works, let's look at an example of covalent bond. The next part will be presented by Jeremy.
Covalent bonding. Covalent bonding happens when atoms share electrons instead of transferring them. In a water, mercury H2, hydrogen and oxygen shares electrons to become stable. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, covalent bonding forms when atoms share pairs of electrons. In this example, hydrogen and oxygen shares electrons to form a stable water with UH2. This sharing keeps both atoms stable in connect. This figure shows how hydrogen and oxygen share electrons to form a water with UH2. Each hydrogen atom share an electron with oxygen, creating covalent bonds. This sharing makes the atom stable and forms the water molecule. Now that we learned about the ionic and covalent bonds, let's compare the properties. This part will be discussed.
Properties of ionic and covalent compounds. Ionic compounds exist only in solid state, have low conductivity, are very hard and brittle, and have high melting and boiling points. They are non-malleable, non-ductile, and soluble in water, but not in organic solvents. Covalent compounds, on the other hand, can exist as solids, liquids, or gases. They have very low conductivity, are not very hard and more flexible, have low melting and boiling points, are non-malleable and non-ductile, but are insoluble in water and soluble in organic solvents. Now that we've seen their differences, let's move on to our conclusion. The conclusion will be presented by Francesca.
In summary, chemical bonding is what holds atoms together. To form different substances, ionic bonding happens when atoms transfer electrons, while covalent bonding happens when atoms share electrons. Both are important in forming the materials we use every day. And that's all. Thank you for watching.